Hey, welcome to Classical Inc. I'm composer John M. Churchill. So, for the next few weeks, I'm going to be doing some things a little bit differently with my YouTube channel. Considering currently we're in a state of stay at home quarantine with the coronavirus, and we will be for the next few weeks. We are at least in Austin, in Texas, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be that way for most people, at least around the States. For the last few days, I've been utilizing my Instagram and Facebook page to take in requests from friends and followers for little breakdowns of favorite pieces of music. Just a way of keeping things a little bit light and a little bit positive, just to add something that's kind of fun to the day, since most of us are stuck at home anyway. That being said, with my YouTube channel, I just want to be making weekly medleys of all of those videos that I've done throughout the week. Now, if you don't follow me on Facebook or Instagram and would like to be able to follow along and make your own requests, the links to those pages are below this video. That being said, with this video, it's just going to be a medley of the things I've been doing over this last week, and each week I'll post a new set of medleys. Without further ado, though, this is the first one. All right, see ya. Okay, so the first request I got was for Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol. This is actually a really cool request because it is a great example of the variety that you can get from track layering. So the song itself is actually really basic because it's the same three chords the whole time. And so, in fact, what's interesting about this song doesn't even have a bridge. It just has like a verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, and then an outro. And the whole time you have this A to an inverted E major, and then you have this D chord, but you still have, this is actually called like a D add 9, because what it is that we have the building blocks of an A chord, because this note right here is A, and this note right here is E. So the beginning is just going back and forth between those two notes. It's that really famous beginning. It's played on guitar, but this is, for all intents and purposes, that's what's going on there. And all that happens is that when we go to the E chord, the bottom note goes down and then comes back. Now, to have the same chord progression the whole song is not unusual. It happens a lot in popular music. The way that we can separate the sections is not just about track layering. So you might have more instruments or fewer instruments, but it's also in the change of your melody. So there's actually really only two melodies the entire time. So you have the one that I opened up with. So that's the verse melody. The chorus is this. And of course, by the end, it gets really big. If you were to want to do a piano arrangement of this, this is actually a really cool opportunity to test out the different areas of the keyboard, because you can make it really big. For like the chorus, and obviously you could keep it really simple for the verse. Who knows, maybe you could even take it up high. So there you go. There's a little breaking down of Chasing Cars. All right, we got a request for Für Elise by Beethoven. I've been playing this song for, oh gosh, it's got to be like 23 years. Yeah, and it's still such a fun one to play. So this one, obviously, the part that I opened up with is a really famous section from the piece. It's the most recognizable area, but this actually has 3 separate sections. And the way that it works is that the part I just played is called the A section. So you have your A section, then it goes to a B section, back to the A, to a C section, and then back to the A to end. And the A section is an A minor. What that means is that we have an A minor chord. And all that means A is tonic. And all that we're doing in the opening phrase is going between A, which is tonic, and anybody who's watched my videos before knows I talk a lot about tonic and dominant. Well, that's what's going to happen here. So A is tonic, and dominant is the 5th note of that scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would be E. So the beginning we have, there's our tonic, there's our dominant, and then we're back to our tonic. Now, within that A section, it moves from A minor for a moment into its relative major key. That means the key of music that shares the same notes as A minor, and that's C major. So when we do this, for a brief moment, you're actually in C major, and then we go back to A minor. The B section is actually an F major. So the question is, how in the world do we get from A minor to F major? Well, I'll explain. So A minor as a chord, if anybody's gone through my YouTube catalog and looked at how to transpose or modulate, how to change keys, I talk about a couple of different methods. What Beethoven uses here is something called a common chord. In the key of F major, so we're going from A minor to F major. All that means is that the scale that you're playing inside of has a different starting note. So A minor, all white keys. F major has 1 black key, a B flat. And the way that we get there, A minor as a chord, turns out that chord actually exists in the key of F. So all that's happening is that when we finish, I am on an A minor chord, and then right here, when I do this, we go to the dominant chord of F. And then I can very easily move in that way. Now, how we get back involves the end of that section where we have... Now we're revolving around this. We've actually landed back on an E major, which is the dominant chord of A. And so that's how we easily get back into that. Now the C section starts in A minor. That's the one that goes like this. And it modulates a little bit where our bottom note ends up walking in half steps up to C, and then we have a big A minor arpeggio. And we're back to A. All right, well, that's a little breakdown of Für Elise. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you at the next one. Okay, so we had a request for A Dark Knight from the Christopher Nolan movie. Specifically, it's from the second movie. This piece is just great. It's really, really good. And there's a lot of different layers that are going on here. And in fact, just one of the things that I appreciate about this piece the most is just the audio production of it is just very, very solid. So all that's happening at the intro is you have this drone of a low note, and it's this D. And that is just being sustained in the basses, as well as there might actually be some synthesized instrument in there as well. But just from underneath, just very quietly, you have the cellos coming in. And what they're doing virtually the whole time is just playing broken chords. That's what you heard me doing here. And they're just going back and forth, and they're changing just a few notes at a time within the chord progression. And then on top of that, when it starts to really build, you hear the melody come in. And what's interesting about this melody is how simple it is. It's just a long sustained note moving to another one. And it almost has this like call and response feel to it. But that's what you heard me playing, the do, do, do. So we've got this. And of course it does it several times. And I'm not going to play through this whole section because it's actually quite long, but it doesn't actually deviate much from the original chords. So there's really only 4 chords. It's D minor, B flat major, then C major, A minor. One time in this whole, I mean, this is like 2.5 minutes. One time it deviates from those 4 chords and plays a G. But other than that, it stays pretty consistent. And it's slowly building this whole time to the next section. And the next section is just going back and forth between D minor and B flat major. And in this part, we add in a melodic note that's outside of the key signature, so it adds a layer of dissonance to this. And then it fades to there. I mean, there's an extended version of this song that's like 16 minutes long. Definitely worth a listen. But that's a breakdown of pretty much the 2 most famous parts of that whole piece. So again, it's just layering of an orchestra. But the whole time, you just have these... And it's this 16th note pattern that just keeps going underneath the whole time, driving the whole piece of music. All right, well, there you go. That was A Dark Night. All right, video gamers unite. This is called Far Horizons from Skyrim. Awesome game. I've probably played through it 2 or 3 times. So much fun. There was a ton of different music to choose from, but this one is just one of my favorites. There's also a really cool... recording. It's like a whole album of video game music played by the London Philharmonic, and they did this piece, and it's just absolutely wonderful. So the way this works is it's actually a 4 chord progression, and it starts with a G minor to E flat major to F major to D minor. It does that 4 times with a surprise ending, because instead of a D minor on the last one, it ends on D major. So why don't we play through that? Now the melody is going to change in this part to something slightly different. And this is where that D major comes in. Then the whole orchestra builds into something awesome. So there you have it. There's a little breakdown. This song goes into another spot, another whole section. But that's the most recognizable bit of it because it's the way it starts and that's where the song builds to. So there you go. Far Horizons from Skyrim. All right. This is a really fun request. This is an Elton John song called Levon. And I actually got a request specifically for the piano intro, which is what I just played. It's always interesting reading Elton John's music because there's an element to it where you can tell that it's like you're playing his muscle memory of how he would play the songs. Because a lot of times when you, like a composer, for instance, a lot of times when they're in the middle of writing something, they actually like write it down so it's the same thing every time. Where I imagine he's writing these songs by ear, and so it's really like his muscle memory on how he would play it. So it's really kind of a cool concept that when you're playing it, once you get it into your hands, you're playing his muscle memory, which is really fun. So the harmonic progression of this intro, since we only have 4 measures, is relatively simple. It's kind of only 2 chords that each time the chord plays it differently. So the way you would look at this, so harmonically, like your first chord is an F major. Then we go to this. This is called a chord inversion. All that means is that the name of the chord or the root of the chord is not on the bottom. So the chord I'm actually playing right now is called a B flat major, which that means the note in the middle is the root. So sometimes in like a chord chart, you'll see a letter slash another letter. And in this case, on the sheet music, the way it looks is it's a B flat slash F. All that means is you're playing a B flat chord with an F on the bottom. And you actually have the same thing in the following measure where it's an F with a bass of C. And then finally, we have it land on a root of a B flat. And apologies, my piano is way out of tune. So anyways, we've got an F, we've got an inverted B flat, we have another F, but it's inverted, and then we have a root position B flat. So we end up with this really pretty and then the vocals come in. So there you go. There's a little breakdown of the intro to Levon by Elton John.